Hello guys, and welcome to the second episode of the How to Make an FPS in Unity tutorial series. Now in today's tutorial, we will be making animations to our weapon, and we will also be fixing some bugs that we have with our gun, as well as putting some heads-up display so that in the next episode we can start adding the enemies. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to be working on the animation. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and into our player, and we're going to drag out the game view, and so we can see our game view side by side, and we're going to click onto our M1911 and we're going to press create, and we're going to create a new animation. So we're just going to go into the assets folder. Once you have pressed the create button, we're just going to right click in the file explorer and press folder, and we're going to create a new folder and we're going to call it animations. Whoops, my caps lock is on for some reason. And then we're going to enter that. Whoops, my bad. There we go. Okay, so created and rename the folder instead of creating a new one. So I'm just gonna create a new folder called animations, and I'm gonna enter that folder, and we're just gonna call this animation M1911 idle, and this will basically be the idle animation for a weapon. So if you don't know what idle animations are, they're basically like in FPSs, your weapon is never still. Like, when you run around, your weapon will move up and down, and when you have let's say not when you're not doing anything, your FPS player's hand or your FPS avatar's hand or something else might be cocking the gun a bit, tweaking it a little bit, and that's basically just what an idle animation is. It's something for the player to look at while we're not moving. So we're just going to press the record button, and what we're going to do is we're just going to make a very simple idle animation. So we're going to have our hands locked. So we're going to copy this component, and the reason that we do this, so first we're just going to move it like side to side and press paste component values. And the reason we do this is that so that when our animation plays, our hands are always stuck at this position no matter what. And so we're just going to do the same thing here. So we're just going to copy this component and then move around our hand super fast and then just paste the component value. And we'll do the same for the gun as well. So I'm just going to copy this and paste the component. Oh, whoops, my bad. Forgot to copy the component value. So we can copy the component value, and we can move this around super fast and just paste it. And then same with actually, you know what, we're not going to be editing most of these for the auto animation, so we don't have really anything to do for those. So yeah, another thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drag these out from the M1911 because it shouldn't actually be part of the actual gun. So I'm just going to also just delete these two keys, and we're just going to re-record our default location or position for our hand. So we're just going to copy this component. We're also going to press the record button, and we're just going to move it around a lot and press paste component values. And we're just going to do the same for our other hand. Copy the component value and just drag it around a lot and just paste the component value. Okay, so at approximately 1 second, what I would like for our player to do is to cock the gun to the right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to rotate this entire thing to the right, and obviously our hands will also follow, and it will be like so. And we're also going to just rotate them to around the same degree, and we're going to rotate this gun or this hand as well as moving it to the left a bit. And you can see the animation in action. It's pretty clunky, not gonna lie, but it'll do. If you guys want to make better animations, feel free. I'm not really good at animating, so yeah, this is what I'm going to be using. And then we're just going to copy this component at 4 seconds. This is what we're going to paste. So we're just going to click on this main the default values, and we're just going to paste them at 4 seconds so that our gun will always return to this default state. So you guys can elongate the animation. I'm just going to keep it at 4. And I'm just going to do the same thing for 6, except this time instead of rotating to the right, it will rotate to the left. So here, I'm just going to rotate this, and our hands will obviously rotate with us, and so will this hand. And then we're just going to copy this, and at 8 seconds we're going to paste the component values in. And now you can see we have a pretty smooth running idle animation where our player is tweaking our gun left and right. And it just gives our player something to look at while we're not moving. So great. So now we have the idle animation. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to create a new clip. I'm going to call it M1911 reload animation, or we're just going to call it anim. And basically what this will do is it's pretty self-explanatory. This is going to be the reload animation. Now the trick to creating reload animations is to make them look cool, but also like, you know, or not cool, but visually appealing and not, you know, bad. But also not taking up too much of the player's time, because remember, like, the player's going to be looking at this hundreds of times while they play through the game. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make this really quick, and we're going to make our hammer. So when you reload, obviously your hammer is always going to cock back. Well, for the slide to make way. So we're just going to have to copy this component, and we're going to just rotate it around a lot and move it around a lot. And then we're just going to paste the component value so that this is the default value for our hammer. And for our slide, we're just going to do the same thing. Copy component, slide it around, rotate it around, and we're just going to paste the component value. And for our hands, let's just do the same thing. So copy component value, rotate, and then I don't really think the rotation of the hands matter because they're spheres. But yeah, now we're just going to paste the component values, and same with this other hand. So copy component, same drill. Copy component, move around a lot, and then paste component value. So yeah, also we need to do the same for the M1911 as a whole. So we just copy this, we're gonna move this around a lot, and yeah, and we're just gonna paste the component value so that's always the default. So what I think we're gonna do is at around slightly 0.25 seconds, we're gonna cock the gun up and also move it up a bit, and our hands will obviously have to move with the gun, and so we're just gonna drag the hands up, and we're going to move this hand over the trigger, or over the hammer, where one would, you know, put their hands to reload the gun. And at around 0.5, we're going to cock the entire gun slide back. So we're going to rotate the hammer just a tiny bit, and we're going to move it out so it fits with the rest of the gun. And we're going to move the slide back, like so. And also our hands will have to follow, or our single hand will have to follow it in order to make it look realistic. So, and then at the bottom we can have our magazine slide out. By the way, I have no idea how a gun reload actually looks like, how a gun reload like this would actually look like in real life. So yeah, there might be some inconsistencies with how an actual gun and this gun would look. An actual gun would look reloading. And then we're also going to just move this magazine at the bottom out. Actually, we're going to, instead of having it there, we're going to also have it just, we're going to have it slide out at around 1.5, because if you look at it, we don't want it to start sliding out as soon as we have our slide start sliding, so it looks like we're actually pulling the magazine out. I don't know if this is how reloading works. Actually, you know what? Instead of, you know what? We won't actually have the hand because I feel like it looks weird. We're just gonna have the magazine slide out, kind of like discarded for the player. And then at around 1.2, we're going to have our other hand move down and pick up an imaginary or invisible magazine, and then come back up with it. At around 2, we're going to have our magazine slide into our player's hand. and then at 2 point, not at 2, we'll make this 1.4, and at 2, we're going to have our magazine and hands both slide up. I guess the magazine will be back at its original position. In this case, our magazine is here, so we're just going to copy this component, and over here we're going to paste the component or the value of the magazine back to its original state. So paste component values, and our hand will obviously also have to be back at its original state, which is right here. Or was it right there? I do not know. Where was our hand? Our hand was right here, so we can just copy the component and also just paste it here. And yeah, so now, I don't know if this is realistic, but it looks okay. One thing to fix, we are not going to start the magazine unload right there. We're going to start it a bit after. So we're just going to paste the component value of the magazine right there. So yeah, so it looks like we cocked the slide, or we slid the slide, and then we pulled out the magazine and we put it back. Pretty sure that's how a gun works. I have no idea. So now we move it back and we just copy this component. Yeah, also if anyone has any idea how a gun works, please feel free to educate me in the comments below. We're just gonna paste the original values there. So now it looks like this. Yeah, so I think, yeah, that looks pretty good, except it's a bit sloped, so we're gonna compress everything, because again, the main point is you want it to look flashy and decent, but you also want it to be not consuming to the player's time, because they will most definitely get bored looking at your animation. So we're just gonna compress everything real quick. I'm gonna make mine around 1.5 seconds. So yeah, I'm also gonna drag this really quick. Yeah, so this does not look realistic. What is wrong with it? So I think the cockpit is definitely too slow, or the cocking of the slide, and it's not dramatic enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move the slide just slightly lower in the gun. And I'm also going to move this hand just slightly lower in the gun. And now you can see, yeah. Well, okay, it doesn't really look natural because our hand is moving through the gun. And also, another thing to note is we also want our gun to go into this position before actually going back. So I'm going to actually just paste the value here, and then we can, yep, so that looks pretty good, except it doesn't the slide is not going back, so we're going to have to move the slide back as well as our hand, because it's it's probably better that our hand is back. So now we're just going to move our slide up back to its original state, or would be original state, and we'll also put our hand up close to the slide to mimic us pushing the slide up. Also, as well, we need to copy the slide position all the way through into the last key point or keyframe. And now we can just paste the value here. And so now you can see here throughout that our slide is actually not unified for some reason. It's kind of going in at 0.4. Sorry, I'm not really good at animating, so yeah. So also you can see our hands doing this weird motion, which is really strange. I'm actually gonna copy our hand, this hand, and I'm just gonna paste in everything else because this hand should be stationary for the entire animation. I don't know why it's not. Oh, that's because we added the starting position, so it looks weird because our player is moving his hands in the wrong spot, because our original animation didn't have our player and move their hand there. So we're just gonna paste the component value here one last time. And yeah, so this is what it'll look like. Now it shouldn't, well, yeah, it should start. Yep. So yeah, this looks pretty good. Well, okay, it doesn't really look good, but I think it looks good enough for my game. Obviously, you guys should make your animations better than mine, because mine doesn't really look good. So yeah, I'm also gonna copy this keyframe so we can paste it into our new animation that we're gonna be making called M1911 shoot shot. Okay, I guess it's called an M1911 shot now. Same difference. And now I'm going to attempt to paste the keyframe, but can't because of some reason. So we copy this keyframe for sure. And now I'm going to M1911 shot, and for some reason I cannot paste the key. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now everything is staying at the same spot. I'm going to drag out the game. I don't know why I dragged the game in the first place. And we're going to go into 0.3 or 0.5 seconds. And we're just going to basically move our hand back, or not the entire thing. We're going to move our hand back. We're going to cock the gun up a bit. And we're also going to move our hands with it. I think this looks okay, actually. Yep, I'm just going to move this hand, rotate it slightly. So you can see that we are, well, okay, well, it's a sphere. You can't really see anything. I'm just going to move it closer so it gives you like a illusion that we're like pulling the trigger and moving our gun up. And now I'm just going to return it to its original state at around 0.2. So just a very simple shoot animation. Yeah, nothing more. So yeah, that's good enough for a shoot animation, or a shot animation in our case, or in my case. Hopefully you guys name it better. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. We have shot, idle, and animation, and reload, which is all we need. And now we can go into our gun script, our generalized gun script. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it so that when we press shoot, we're gonna shoot, and when we don't press shoot, we're not gonna shoot and play the anim. Oh, instead, we're gonna be playing the idle animation. And now reloading comes later when we're going to be making scriptable objects for each gun, and editing everything that comes between. But for now, we're going to make it so that we have destroy, bullet, so when we press shoot, and before we destroy our bullet, we're going to play the animation. So let's see. I guess, okay, I think we should, okay, so first of all, before we do all that, we're going to enter an animator controller for the M1911, and we're going to create some parameters. So we're going to add a bool, and we're going to call it is shoot. I'm going to add another bool, and we're going to call this is reload. And when is shoot is equal to true, we're going to transition between the idle animation to the shot animation. And when it's not true, we're going to right click on it, make a transition, and click on the arrow. We're going to tick off has exit time, and we're going to make the is true animation false. Also tick off has exit time here as well. And we're going to make another transition here, and we're going to make it so that instead of is shoot this time, we're going to make it so if is reload is equal to true, we're going to go to M1911 reload animation, and if is reload is equal to false, we're going to loop back to our M1911 idle animation. So cool. Now yeah, if you don't know what these are, basically it's basically setting like a bool like condition, like if, I mean, like it's pretty much like coding. It's like, oh, if this is true, then do this, else do that. So think of these as functions, and think of these as parameters. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, so now we have the animator controller down. You can see here, it's right here. And we're going to go into our script, and we're going to reference the animator. So we're just going to say public animator anim, and on void start, we're going to say anim is equal to get component animator. Basically what this does is that it looks for an animator component on our attached game object, and if it finds it, it sets our variable here as the animator that we found. So what we're going to do here is void shoot, we're going to play that shoot animation. So we're just going to say anim dot is or set bool is shoot. What do we call it again? I believe it was called is shoot. I'm just going to make sure the parameter name is okay. Yeah, so it is shoot. And if is shoot is equal to true, then obviously our animation will play. So let's just take a look at that. We're not going to set it to false yet. So basically what will happen is that we'll just see it play once, but that's okay. So you can see, well, okay, it's looping, which is not good. So we're going to have our animation here not loop. So now if we press play in Unity, you can see our idle animation is playing when we're not doing anything. But if I shoot, do a shoot animation once and never do it again, because technically we're always in the shoot animation, and since it's not looping, well, it's always going to be there because we never set the bool as false because we haven't written the script yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this from a void normal function to an IE numerator. So instead of our shoot function being a normal function, we're going to make it an IE numerator. And to call an IE numerator, we need to say start coroutine shoot. So yeah, just type out exactly what I just typed there. And we're going to, the reason you might be getting error now is because we haven't returned anything. So we need to type yield return new wait for seconds. So basically we're just going to be waiting for 1.5 seconds because that's how long our animation is. And over here, we're going to set that to be true. And we're also going to be setting here, after the 1.5 seconds, to be false. And we're going to, whoops, I did not copy that. We're going to copy this code and we're going to paste it here. And we're going to, instead of this being true, we're going to set to false. And also, start coordinating shoot, blah, blah, blah. We need to create a new bool, so private bool is shoot, and we're only going to run this if is shoot, if not is shoot. So if is shoot is equal to false, and if it is, then we're going to do all of this, and we're also going to set is shoot to be true at the start, and is shoot to be equal to false once the coroutine is done. So this makes sure that we can't run the coroutine multiple times. So yeah, it also is a natural way of making like a cooldown for a weapon. So you can see 1.5. I can't click again. I'm trying to click, but now it will play every time I press the button. Now you can see there's a slight lag between our animation and our actual bullet shooting. So the easy way to combat that is we're going to copy this, and instead of waiting 1.5 seconds, we're just going to wait 0.05. And basically what this will do is that it will make it lag before we shoot the bullet in order for our animation to have ample time to, play. So now we can take a look at that, and that looks pretty good. Oh wait, my bad. I just realized our animation is not 1.5 seconds run. That's our reload animation. So our actual animation is like 0.5. So let's just make this like 0.5. And I'm also gonna make this 0.25, or not 2.5, but let's make it like 1.5. So yeah, terrible mistake. I realized that was a reload animation time, not the actual time. So you can see here, if we shoot, the animation will play as well as the bullet coming out. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Also just gonna check the animator. I'm pretty sure that I did not set has exit time on either of these. But just to make sure I didn't, yeah, so there's no has exit time. So yeah, that's cool. So yeah, now our shoot animation works. The code will be available in the link in the descriptions down below if you have trouble replicating it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be fixing a simple bug that I found in the last episode with the bullet. So I'll show you what I mean. And basically, if I shoot, the bullet kind of bounces off the ground. And I mean, if you guys want that, then sure, you guys can keep it. But if people want the bullet, if some people want like the bullet to disappear after it hits the ground, then that's what we're gonna do right now. So we're just gonna right click and create a C# script, and we're gonna call it bullet behavior. And we're just gonna go to our prefab folder, and we're gonna go to our bullet, obviously, and we're gonna double click on it, and we're just gonna drag in our bullet behavior script to our bullet. Wow. So now we have it here. We're gonna go into our bullet behavior. We're gonna delete this, and we're just gonna say void on collision, enter, destroy game object. And that's all we're gonna do for now. In later episodes, we're going to add like a explosion effect for when it hits the ground, like an impact effect, and a bullet hole. But for now, we're just gonna have this. So now when you press play and you shoot at the ground, what's going to happen is the bullet will destroy itself when it hits the ground and it won't bounce anymore, which is cool. So you can see some bullets are still going to be active even after I shoot them at the ground. And that's because I think what's happening is that the bullet's going so fast that it just kind of phases through the plane. So yeah, not a really big problem because technically the player, it's still the same to the player, like it's not bouncing. It's technically disappearing because it's going through the plane. So I'm not gonna fix that bug. But you guys can try if you want to fix that bug. But yeah, so now we have done both of those things. The final thing that we're gonna do in this episode is we're going to be creating a health bar. And we're not going to be creating reload, that will be in further episodes down, but we're just going to be creating a very simple health bar. And what we're going to do is we're just going to right click, I'm going to click on UI, I'm going to click on slider, right here, I clicked on scroll bar, nice. I'm just going to delete this, and right click, UI, slider, and I'm going to click on this, and you can see here that we have our slider. And in game it looks like this, and this will be our health bar. So we can drag it here, drag it to the bottom left because that's usually where health bars are. We're going to rename this to be health bar, and we're just going to be creating the UI this episode. We're not really going to be doing anything else. We're going to be changing the fill area to be red because that's the usual, or no, let's make it gray. And the fill will be gray, and the fill area, the background will be gray, my bad. So the background is going to be gray. We're also going to delete the handle slide because we don't need it. And the fill is going to be red, like a very nice red. And you can see here that it looks like this. And that looks pretty good for a health bar. I'm also going to increase the scale so the player can see it more. And also, so that's just how it works. You can see here there's a value, and if I drag the value up, it'll go up, and you can see that over here, our health bar has gone up, and if you drag it down, then it'll go down, obviously. One fix that we'll have to do is that the fill area doesn't actually cover the entire health bar, which is really strange. So we're just gonna make that actually cover the entire health bar first. So we're just gonna make this to be 1. And we're going to drag the fill area out until we have filled the entire health bar with our actual fill. And now when we press scale, you can see it fills the actual health bar. So yeah, that's great. And now we can press play and we can see how that looks in game. You guys can probably make it smaller actually. I'm going to actually just make the X like 1.5. Actually, you know what? I'll make it 1.9 by 2.2. And yeah, that'll be your health bar for the rest of the game. Now obviously you guys are welcome to make better health bars. My health bar is quite trash, but if you guys want, you guys can create a better health bar. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. Remember to smash the like button, and thanks for watching guys. I'll see you next time.